Hey everyone, welcome back to Coding C# for Beginners. Right now we have this application which is an 8-ball that gives us random answers. It's been pretty cool so far. There's a couple of things we need to adjust, like some of the graphics and the labels. But I wanted to cover objects and how they're built with classes. And we also have the ability to add what are called functions and methods, which are actions that an object might do. We've already seen objects without realizing it. But this random is actually creating a new object from the random class. So the data type is going to be the class. If we highlight it, we can see that this is coming from the system.random class. The name of the variable would be just like any other data type. And the new keyword is stating that we're creating a new object. Okay? The open and close parentheses with nothing inside of them is saying that we are constructing an object with no prior data, or we're not feeding the object anything upon creation. So this is saying, hey, create this new random object from the random class, and its name is going to be random as a variable. We see that we use a .next function with two parameters here. It's 0, which is the minimum number that we want to generate, and then the maximum number. So we can see that this is an actual action. It's saying, hey, create a random object, and the name of the method to create a random object between numbers 0 and the length of the answers array is the second parameter in that function. So let's just recap real quick. What's a class? A class is a blueprint on how to build an object. So we often see this in the real world. We want to, let's say, build a house. And how do we build the house? We have an architect who creates will draft blueprints for the house. Now, once we have that, once we have the class or the blueprints for the house, then a construction crew can build the exact same house many times. Now, when we do build out the house can actually do things like we're going to need the house to, not the actual house, but the house will have functions that make it a house. So we have actions, which can be said are the equivalent to methods and functions. Actions the house may have available. So what may those actions be? It can be open garage door, open the front door, turn off the lights, right? Ultimately, the individual who's living in the house or the end user is going to go ahead and call these functions or perform these functions, but they're still functions and features of the house and things the house can do. Another good example is a car, right? So we have a car, we have the blueprints to the car, it gets built, and once the actual car, not the blueprints, is built, the car has methods and functions such as turn on the car, turn off, and drive, brake, etc. Okay? So what we want to do is we want to have a construction crew build out an object from the class. Okay? So again, class, we have a construction crew that creates an object. And that object has actions, which are functions and methods. Okay? So let's go ahead and create a class. And we are already operating in a partial class, which is the form1 class, and that is inheriting from form. We'll talk about inheritance later, but for now let's create our own class, and the scope for the partial class ends in this curly brace. So let's go ahead and let's go ahead and go to the bottom of the code and create our own class. In this case, we're going to use the class keyword, and it'll be an answer. Open and close curly braces. Anything in between this scope, so in between these two curly braces, is going to be a property or a definition of this class. Okay, so the answer class is there, and what we want to do is we want to have a set of rules for the construction crew, and that's going to be a constructor. Now, how do you define a constructor? You'll use the word public. It's available to the public, and it'll be the exact same name as your class. So the class is answer, and your constructor is going to be named answer. Go ahead and type that out with open and close parentheses and open and close curly braces. And that's it. Right now it's empty, so we don't have any parameters or anything, and it's open and close. So we need a constructor for a class to create the object. Imagine this is the construction crew, and the reason why I say that is because it's easy to remember. We need a constructor for construction, okay? And then we also have actions, which are methods and functions of the actual object. And in this case, what we want to do is we want to go ahead and say get answer. Okay, so as soon as we create an answer object, what do we want to do? We want to go ahead and get the answer. And who's this feature available to? We're going to say it's public because it's available to anybody who actually creates this object and wants to call this function get answer. It's available to public, and we are returning a data type. In this case, it's going to be a string. Let's go ahead and open and close with curly braces. We do have an error right now, but that's because it's saying, hey, you're supposed to give and return a string, but you're not returning anything. It's empty. So for now, we'll just type in return and then hello. Okay, and now it's happy. So let's go up to the top. We have a class, which is the blueprints. We have a constructor for the construction crew. And then we have a get answer as an action that we can call. In this case, it's a method to return a random answer. So what we'll do is we will actually say the output label.text is going to be, let's move this code to the bottom. We're going to say it's an answer type. That's a data type. New answer, or let's say random answer, is the name of our variable. And then we're going to go ahead and create the object using the new keyword, and then it's a new answer. So what's happening here with the new keyword, we're saying we're going to create a new object from this class, which is answer, and then here what gets executed is this constructor. Okay? Constructor is obviously empty. We don't have any parameters, so we're not feeding it anything. And now this variable is holding the answer object. The methods that are available to us, because we went ahead and say that this method here, get answers, available to the public. We'll type random answer dot, and you can see that it's already listed. Get answer, and open and close parentheses, and it's available to us. This will actually generate our answer, and whatever it's returning, in this case it's returning a string, that is the value for the output label.text. Now if I were to erase the public keyword for that method, this class, which is the form1 class, would not have the ability to view that method, and I automatically get a red squiggly line saying, hey, I'm not sure what you're talking about. I don't see a get answer, so this is an issue. So just remember that we can specify that this this method is actually available to the public, and we can see that now it's happy. There are no red squiggly lines, and it's going to go ahead and create an answer from our answer class, and our answer object is called a random answer, and it's ready to go. So all that code that I erased, we're going to go ahead and place it here in this method, because right now it's just returning hello. If we wanted to actually take a look at that, we can run the program. Test, and then click answer me, and you can see it's always hello. So what's happening there is the object is being created with the constructor, and then we're calling the method getAnswer. Right now we're returning the string hello, so it's always going to return hello. Okay. Right now the only thing we need to do is actually, the last thing we need to do is actually just return the answer, which is with an index of the random number that we've generated, and that dictates which answer from the array will be returned. So we'll say return answers, and it'll be a random number which is generated from the random object. We can see it's coming from the random class, and we're creating a new object that gets held as this variable random, and we're using the random.next method, or actually it's a function because we have parameters, which is the minimum number and the maximum number, and then we're returning that string just like we did in the prior video, but in this case it's coming from the answer class. Okay, that's it. We have our object, we get the answer. Let's hit the start button, and we see that we're getting random answers. Oh, please ask me a question. So this will be a test, or we can do, will this program work with the answer object and its method? Without a doubt. Without a doubt, it's actually misspelled, but it's working. Let's click it again, and no. As you can tell, it's a lot nicer because now we can actually use this object for any other program. We can import the class of an answer, and we can actually change these answers. I'll go in depth in regards to how constructors are worked in the next video, and we can actually change this, because whatever is actually in the constructor, it gets built out immediately. And we can feed it actual values, and we can do a lot of things that can help us out in the future. But for now, I think this was a good video. If you have any questions, please leave a comment. If you enjoy the content and you're actually learning, hit the like button, share this with your friends, and I really appreciate it if you hit the subscribe button. Thank you so much, and let's keep on learning.